the centers, they regularly invite ultra-radical individuals. So on the front end, they constantly go on Parliament Hill and request, for example, that we do something about blasphemy, that we use the Human Rights Commission to combat hate speech. What is hate speech? It's Islamophobia. So they put that at the agenda. Now on the back end, last year in the fall, they invited 2 ultra-radical preachers. They were rejected from Concordia University because they made a big fuss. The Quebec Parliament made a motion to condemn the venue, the coming of these people. And the MAC just raised their hand and say, why don't you come to our facilities? And of course these guys, the classic on women beating the wives, the classic on people who leave Islam, you can kill them, and so on and so forth. Then just recently, there was this whole institution, this organization called the Masajid Council, which is filled with organizations that are linked to the Muslim Brotherhood, just recently invited Tariq Ramadan. Now, not only did they invite Tariq Ramadan, but about 2 years ago, while they are promoting and making pressure for the government to establish Islamophobia as a hate crime, basically on the back end, I don't know if you heard of this man called Zakir Naik. He's very, 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 very colorful preacher. And with this man, you don't need to interpret what he's saying. When he says you can beat your wife, he says you can beat your wife. You know, in so many words. He's not using soft language. But he basically says that the United States is a terrorist state, and it's the role of the Muslims to become terrorists and to be on the side of Osama bin Laden if the United States come and get involved. So of course he was banned from entering Canada. And there was a whole debate about it. Michael Corrin invited a guy called Yasser Hadara, who was for a long time on the board of the MAC. Now Yasser Hadara is also on the board of the Islamic Relief Canada. Now in 2010, a month or 2 weeks after he was banned, now I repeat, 2 weeks after Zakir Naik made the headline and he was banned, the Masajid Shura Council and Islamic Relief posted an advertisement in the Edmonton Journal inviting people to come to a conference that was given by Zakir Naik. And he was banned from Canada. That didn't make much of a mainstream news. Now, who is the Islamic Relief Fund? Islamic Relief Fund pretty much function in the same way that IRFAN Canada works. A lot of the leadership inside of people on the administrative boards are basically the same people that overlap. And Islamic Relief just received $1.5 million from CETA to go help people in Somalia. Now on their own website, they talk about 8 principles of why and who you give zakat to. Zakat is like, in French we say les aumônes, charity. And one of them is to be able to help Muslims who struggle. Now there's a manual of implementation. It's called the Umdat El Salik, Reliance of the Traveler. This manual is approved by the North American Network of Muslim Brotherhood. I would call it the Menkampf of the Muslim Brotherhood. In this book, the English translation was approved by the Al-Azhar University. It's endorsed by the Institute of International Islamic Thought, which, by the way, was founded by a person that stayed in Canada. And in his book, it is written in black and white that if Sharia is implemented and established, you cannot condemn parents that kill their own offsprings. Now, of course, they don't encourage honor killing. It's just that if you do it, you're not going to be penalized. So they also describe what is jihad and when you give to jihad. And when you read Islamic Relief Canada's organization and what they describe the use of zakat, It's pretty much the same principle as what the Umdat al-Salik is describing. So, Islamic Relief Canada, on the board, there's this name called Yasser Hadra. And they're the ones also who invited Zakir Naik, and they invited other people, and their link with Islamic Relief Worldwide was also linked with some pretty intense people. And I will finish on this.
Getting closer.
Yes. So Islamic Relief received $1.5 million, and yes, and there's pretty much there's a lot of indication that a lot of the money, oh yes, and they've been funding in the past Irfan Canada and other very, very non-obvious organization that has lost their charity status. And may I finish and conclude on this? No. What I would like to say is that there's a lot of people that have been very concerned about Islam in general. If we want to win this battle, in a liberal democracy like we have, we can't stop people preaching ideology that can be very harmful to our society. And it's part of having free speech. Free speech is actually the privilege to be able to hear what people are saying. So when they're saying it, you know how many people are in the room, you know how many people, and you know what they're preaching, and you can evaluate the danger. If you target organizations and their leadership, if you understand what they say, then you can make pressure to the government to stop funding them. And it will work. And if you want, later on we can speak, and I'll give you some specific example where we have succeeded in Quebec in having some MPs refund the MAC, for example, and some ministries in Quebec who have basically distanced themselves from Muslim Brotherhood organization and also from Tariq Ramadan. So on this, I would like to say I'm very sorry that it took so much time, and for a little bit of the chaos that happened, I guess it took a number 2 in my slideshow. And thank you very much for being here.